Why do ostrich bury their head in the sand? What are the reasons why ostriches bury their head in the sand? Ostriches bury their head in the sand because they don't want to see predators. It's a defense mechanism that helps them stay hidden and avoid becoming prey. But why do they bury their head? It's a metaphorical representation of how ostrich adapt and hide from dangers. They prefer to stay hidden and keep their heads down. This helps them avoid predators and focus on survival. Ostrich has a unique way of protecting themselves from predators by burying their head in the sand. The ostrich has a unique way of protecting themselves from predators by burying their head in the sand. It is believed that they do this because they want to avoid detection while they are eating, but it is not clear what exactly they are doing with their head buried in the sand. They use their feathers to cover its eyes and ears, so it can't see or hear predators coming. It also uses its wings and legs to run away from danger. What is an ostrich and how does it behave? An ostrich is an animal that has a long neck and legs. They can run at a speed of up to 35 miles per hour. They have a large head and eyes, which are usually brown or black. The skin is brown in color, which makes it difficult for predators to spot them in the wild. The ostrich's name comes from the Dutch word Ostrich, meaning messenger of the gods. This is because they were thought to be able to see without being seen, and was believed to have been given this ability by the gods. Ostrich does not have any feathers on its body and is characterized by its long legs, which it uses to kick sand to ward off predators. It can run at speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour for short distances. The history of ostrich burying their head in the sand. The history of the ostrich burying its head in the sand is a popular story that has been told in many different ways. The story goes like this. An ostrich, noticing that it was being hunted, hid its head in the sand so its enemies couldn't see it. Soon after, another ostrich came along and kicked dirt on top of its friend's head. When the first ostrich finally looked up and saw what had happened, it died of fright. This popular story has been told for centuries, and is still used today as a way to describe someone who is not facing their problems or responsibilities. In the past, people used to ostrich bury their head in the sand when they didn't want to do something. Nowadays, people are using this phrase figuratively. Ostrich burying their head in the sand is a figurative phrase that means avoiding responsibility. This phrase is often used to describe someone who is trying to avoid doing something or someone who has done something wrong and doesn't want anyone to know about it. Common theory on why they burrow their heads in the sand. The common theory is that they have a hard time living with their own emotions. They feel too much and are too sensitive to the world around them. They bury their heads in the sand because it feels like they are not being seen and heard. This theory is true for some people, but not all. Some people just need a break from reality and want to escape from the world around them. Theories on why they bury their heads in the sand are varied. Some people think that it is a defense mechanism, others believe it is because they don't want to deal with the reality, and some say that it's because of a lack of knowledge. Some other theories are: they think that if they don't know what's going on, then there's no risk. They fear facing or acknowledging problems, so they choose not to think about them, and instead focus on things that seem more manageable or positive. An ostrich uses its neck and legs for hiding. An ostrich has a long neck and legs, which it uses for hiding. The animal's head is small, with a short, rounded bill. The eyes are large and brown with white sclerae. The legs are covered in feathers that look like hair. The wings have a span of about 3 feet, 0.9 m, and the legs have 4 toes on each foot, making it the only bird to have this number of toes on every foot. In the wild, an ostrich has no predators. It can run at speeds of up to 70 miles per hour. It is one of the fastest animals on Earth. An ostrich's body is covered with a thick layer of feathers that help it maintain its body temperature and keep its skin moist. The theory of ostrich behavior to avoid predators. The theory of ostrich behavior is a way to avoid predators. This theory has been applied in many different fields, including marketing, psychology, and human resources. Ostrich behavior is when humans or other animals are afraid of what they cannot see. It is also known as the opposite of the looking glass. An ostrich will hide their head in the sand, which prevents them from seeing a predator that would be able to attack them. Ostrich behavior is often exhibited by people who are afraid to take risks or feel threatened by something they do not understand or cannot control. The theory of ostrich behavior is a social theory which states that people, particularly members of a society, will avoid situations or circumstances that might lead to conflict with others. It is based on the idea that the ostrich's head in the sand prevents it from seeing any threats. The theory of ostrich behavior is an idea that suggests that animals tend to avoid predators by hiding their heads in the sand. This is done by either turning their head away from the predator or running away. This theory has been used to explain why people sometimes do not want to see the truth, despite knowing it. The idea is that if you know something bad is happening and you can't stop it, then you might as well ignore it and pretend like everything is fine. Ostrich in the wild versus the domestic farm setting. The domestic farm setting is a popular setting for children's stories. It is a safe, familiar, and comfortable place where the children can feel safe and secure in the company of animals. The domestication of animals has led to many changes in their behavior and lifestyles that include changes such as increased interaction with humans, less fear towards predators, more socialization with other animals, etc., which can be seen through the domestic farm setting. The domestic farm setting is a more controlled environment, which means that the ostriches are able to live in a safe and predictable environment. They can also be given food and water with ease. The wild setting is much more risky for the ostrich because they have to rely on their own skill sets to survive. The best ways of ostriches to combat environmental threats. Ostriches are a species of birds that have adapted to the changing environment. They have a unique way of coping with environmental threats. Ostriches have been known to be able to dig deep holes in search of food, and they can also use their wings to stay afloat in water. They can also use their feathers as insulation against the cold during winter. Ostriches are the most efficient means of mitigating environmental threats like desertification. They can help in the process of reforestation and other natural restoration activities. 1. Ostriches are more effective than cattle at converting food into manure, which is a vital resource for soil improvement and natural vegetation regeneration. 2. Ostriches can also be used to prevent soil erosion by digging holes in the ground and covering them with their bodies to prevent water from seeping away from the ground. 3. The eggs laid by ostriches can be eaten as a source of protein, which is an important factor for animal husbandry and agriculture in developing countries like Nigeria and Ethiopia. Ostriches are raised in both these countries as livestock. Conclusion for why do ostrich bury their head in the sand? Ostrich bury their head in the sand to block out unwanted noise and to hide from predators. It's a defense mechanism that helps them stay hidden and avoid becoming prey.